everybody, and welcome to episode 102 of the iRock Knits podcast. My name is Corey Eichelberger, and it is late Sunday afternoon after a busy weekend of things to accomplish. My sister-in-law came to town with her niece, and they wanted to go to brunch this morning, and I was busy all day yesterday with Kiley doing some shopping for some professional clothing for the job she's going to start, and we went out to dinner with friends last night, and I have friends in Stillwater today who are meeting, and sometimes you just can't do it all, right? You just can't meet up with everybody and do all the things because you're supposed to be multiple places. I just couldn't make it all work today. So I have almost completely covered my new iPad screen because I know that I tend to look at the middle of the iPad, and it bothers some people because it makes it look like I'm looking over there. So I'm going to just try. There's really no little mark on the camera right there to tell you exactly where to look, but I always paste a little note up that says look with an arrow over to the left, but I get on a roll and then I forget to look. So today I'm covering most of the screen, which is problematic in that when I want to show you stuff, it's hard to see what I'm showing you. So I'm going to have to work on this. It's, something that people mention to me sometimes, and I know it doesn't bother some of you, but it's something that I can maybe improve on, so I'm going to give it a go here. It is cool today here. It's overcast. We're supposed to get a tiny bit of rain, and that is just lovely because we are in a significant drought, and I know that there are floods going on in Kentucky. We prayed for those people at church this morning. It's just what we're doing to our world is not going to be saved by not using plastic straws. We need to get corporations and companies and people on board that are doing just significant damage. It's really scary, right? There are fires and floods and tornadoes and hurricanes, and it's just, anyway, I'll step off that little soapbox, but we are in a drought. So we are hand watering flowers and gardens, trying to keep things alive, but we have not had significant rain for months, and it's really hard on everybody to not want to use water either, right? So that's really something we shouldn't be doing. What am I wearing today? This is my Hadley Pullover. If you are new to the podcast, welcome, but I knit this many years ago, and it was in a bag that I took to the movie theater back before COVID, where I would just knit in the round on the body forever and ever. And when I got ready to be most way up the body, it was gigantic. I had made the tube way too big. This is a heavier weight cotton yarn, and so I was going to steek it, but then when you steek, you can only really take out of part of it. I didn't know how that would look, and so I sent it away to a friend, Stacy, who we'll mention later again, and she reknit the body for me, so I didn't really have to do it. And I just thought, I'll never do it if I don't do it now. So then I finished it, and then I blocked it, and the red bled. So then the red bled, and I did leave it in the water too long, so partly my fault, but also shouldn't have bled. So then I had to rip back the yoke, and then it sat in a bag again for a part of time before I reknit it recently, and this is the first time I'm really wearing it. I just haven't worn it. It's a heavy cotton, so it's worsted weight. It's very soft, and I think I will like it. It's a little snug in the bottom half, along with several other of my clothes. So one of the things that I am working on is trying to exercise more, eat less. I know it's all about the food, but I am just too big a fan of things that are probably not good for my body. So I have to work on it daily, and I need to be more serious over a long period of time. I'm serious every night when I go to bed. I'm very serious about doing better tomorrow. You will not have a treat tomorrow. You will not eat bread tomorrow. You will not eat at all tomorrow. Things that go through your head. Maybe none of you have these little voices, and then you wake up in the morning and you make it until noon or 1 o'clock, and then you're like, I have to eat something. And I would not, I've never starved myself. I've never had that kind of an issue, and then once I start, and I was with Kiley yesterday afternoon, like I said, we were at the mall. She needs dress clothes because she's going to be working for the Minnesota Court of Appeals starting here. She was going to be on the podcast, so we're working on that. The timing isn't working out great, but she's done with the bar, so I'll come back to this whole thing, but she's done taking the bar, and she said that people online are upset because they felt as if the test was significantly harder than all the practice tests that they took. There's a new program, I won't remember the name of it, I think it starts with a V, that did algorithms over all the previous bar exams. So they test you, I talked about that briefly on the podcast, with flashcards, things that are most frequently tested on the bar, and more kids were buying that program and using that to only study the things that had been, really tested in the last 5 years. And apparently, and I don't know anything, but kids were doing better. They're passing. And so now they've made this year's bar, is what she's hearing online, they didn't test some of that stuff. Now, Kiley bought that program, but she also took a class, and she also had a program from her school. So she did not just study the new special program, but a lot of kids did. And so they put all their eggs in one basket, and so they're really concerned about what was covered. She said it did seem like, and she's never taken the actual bar before, but she did say, like, I taught, what did she teach? Procedure something, the first year class. She taught it the second and third year, not taught it. The professor taught it. She was the mentor person that met with the students, because it's the hardest class you take your freshman year, but it's highly tested on the bar. So she was asked if she wanted to be one of these learning community leader people. So she met with kids, and then she had to help and reteach and show, and so she thought it would keep her really fresh. And she said even that question was so detailed and hard, right? She said, I was just really surprised. So she said she didn't cry, she didn't throw up, and she didn't leave any blank. That's all she's given us. She said, I can't say with confidence that I passed, and I can't say with confidence that I failed. She said the hardest thing will be if she didn't pass and she has to take it again, and she can't do that till February. No one could do that till February. It's only offered twice a year, and then you have to tell everyone that you didn't pass. So probably 8 weeks before we'll know, and if I don't say anything, it probably means that she didn't pass, and I just don't want to announce that publicly. For her and for us, probably that'll be hard, because she probably will lose her position with the court. She's not sure, but anyway, she said, let's go with 50-50. If everybody's thinking 50-50, we won't be completely shocked if I did not pass it, but we won't be completely shocked if I, fail it. I don't know. I think she's just trying to hedge her bets. I will tell you a quick story. I'm not telling tales on a turn here. She sent me this in a message on day one on her way home when she was leaving the building. She said they had to sit on the floor to eat. They were in a bank building, and there were not tables and chairs, and they had to wear masks, and they were keeping people apart. So they were in this area, and there were no chairs. So they were all sitting on the floor, and they're not supposed to talk about the test, right? And you have an hour for lunch. So she overheard these two girls talking, and she said, the one girl said to the other girl, "What's the name of this test we're taking?" And the other girl said, "The bar?" And the girl said, "Oh yeah, people have been asking. I didn't know. I've heard of that." And Kiley said it made her feel a whole lot better in the moment. You don't know the name of the test you're taking after 3 years of law school. She wasn't sure if the girl thought that maybe it was named something else, and people just called at the bar. She said, if we give her the benefit of the doubt, but she said that's not the way the girl across from her answered. The girl was kind of like mouth open, agape, and was like, the bar? So she said, wow. And she said she did have some people in her classes that were just not up to speed. They would just ask, crazy questions, and she would be like, have you done none of the reading all semester? Have you not prepared? And she said, yeah, a lot of kids haven't, right? So I'm hoping. Kiley got great grades. She did the best she could study-wise. And they are leaving on Tuesday. She and her boyfriend are leaving on Tuesday to go to Mackinac Island. So that was our gift to her. They asked if they could go on a trip for a couple of days before she starts her new job. And they wanted to drive. And so we bought them a 2-night package for her graduation gift. And so they're leaving on Tuesday. And I just have the warmest place in my heart for Mackinac Island. When I was a newlywed, my husband's best friend lived in Detroit, and we would drive out to see them. We did it for 2 summers, and we would drive out, and we would go up and over in Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, across the Mackinac Bridge. And so we spent a night at the Grand Hotel and went down to dinner where you have to dress, and the romance of that island, and there are no cars, and it's horse and buggy. And some of you know because I went in 2019 over the Labor Day weekend. We bought a package and we went back. We hadn't been in many, many years. So I just have this great feeling about the island, and all, you have to take a bicycle everywhere or walk or take a horse cart, that will, or buggy that will take you, or, And so they're going on Tuesday, and then they're staying Wednesday and Thursday. You have to take a ferry out to the island. If you're not from Michigan area or the U.S., some of you will have no idea what that is, but you take a ferry, and it's an island where people vacationed back in the day. So there are old Victorian houses up on the bluff where the people that own them have had those houses in for generations, right? And you would go north to get out of the heat of the cities in Chicago in the summertime. And it's very touristy downtown, lots of little shops, fudge and saltwater taffy. And I don't know what happened to the island during COVID. I don't know if everything was closed those summers or not. I'm just so looking forward to them having that experience that I had. Kiley's far more worldly than I ever was at that age when I, grew up and came out of South Dakota. I'd never been anywhere. So, my honeymoon was in the Ozarks. We drove a few hours down to the Ozarks and stayed in a little cabin. So I hadn't just done a lot of those, big trips and seen all the places and done all the things that, she has been fortunate to do because she studied abroad, right? Wow, it wasn't a thing when I was in school. So anyway, they're doing that. So we were shopping because she needs, there will be days where she's in court. And because she took the bar, she has a special license or dispensation that she can practice until her results come in. So she is, practicing the law by being a clerk. But anyway, so we went shopping all afternoon. She found a suit on clearance, a black suit and skirt, and so she was just tickled that she didn't have to, because she has no money to pay. Well, we were paying for the clothes, let's be honest. She hasn't started working yet, but she can't not, she hasn't had to wear a suit because a lot of her law school was not done, in person. It was online. So she didn't even have to dress up for some of her mock stuff because it was on Zoom. So she could just put on a nice blouse. And then she found a black dress, so she's really tickled about that. She found a blouse. So we spent the afternoon at Von Maur and Kohl's. Where else did we go? Anyway, she went to Target, but we just, so I was gone, then I got home, and then we went out to dinner with friends. One of my best friends from way back, we were roommates together our first few years teaching. Her name is Julie, and they live north of the city, so we met them halfway. We see them very infrequently, but we have so much in common, and it was just lovely to go out to dinner with them. So, all that to say, it was just a busy weekend. I haven't had anything going on pretty much all summer, and now, Kiley's done, and she had things she needed to do, and Thursday I was supposed to teach at Stephen B, and the class got canceled. They had 4 people signed up, I think, for in-person, but it's being taught on Zoom like 2 weeks from now, and so she just moved those people, and 2 of them were staff people from the shop that were going to take it, I think. So anyway, it just got moved. So now I'm teaching on Zoom this week on Wednesday. I'm teaching my 50 Shades of Sweaters class, so that's open to anyone. If you're watching this early, it is being taught on Zoom. That is on the 3rd, and then I'm teaching the Ravelry class on Zoom on the 17th. How to use Ravelry like a pro, it's called. It's just all the tips and tricks on how to better use Ravelry, and it's not completely a beginner class, but I do go over the basics. But if you don't use Ravelry much, there's lots of things you can do. I also got new lenses in my eyeglasses. I was trying to think, why else was I? So on Thursday, I drove to St. Paul and met Kiley for lunch because she finished the bar on Wednesday. And I had to get new lenses put in these glasses. My prescription changed. So I had been looking at new glasses and looking at new frames and looking at sunglass frames because those are several prescriptions old. So I don't wear my sunglasses, which I should regularly. But they're bad, they're out of. So I was looking, and then I just decided, I have not had these very long. The last time I sent glasses away, some of you will know, they broke them trying to put the lenses in, and I couldn't get them anymore. And so I am adjusting because my left eye got better, got stronger, and I dropped them off, and it took 2 days. He ordered the lenses, and then all he had to do was put them in. So I was wearing an old prescription, which was really hard. So mostly I was going around without any glasses on, and then I had to go back over. I was supposed to go back over to pick them up on Saturday, and he called on Friday, and they were done. And Kiley was coming out this way. Oh, this is just... She's coming out this way to go on the lake with some friends on Friday afternoon to celebrate being done. One of her friends has a pontoon, and they were going to go out on the lake, so she was coming out here, and the eyeglass place is by where she lives. So I called her and said, can you stop and pick up my glasses and bring them out to me? And she says, yes, if you can stop and bring up and pick up the stuff I need to take on the boat. And so I went over here and just got her, snack stuff that she needed. And yeah, so then she was out here and she left her car here. So then I had to drive her out to the lake because her dad wanted to check out her car before she went on this trip. And she's gotten hit twice, we think. Her rear bumper was cracked, which she hadn't noticed, and you had to look really close, but definitely something hit her rear, they're like plastic or fiberglass or whatever. But her running board on the side underneath was completely bent up on one side, and my husband thinks that maybe someone tried to put a jack under her running board to jack up her car to get her catalytic converter, but her car's very low to the ground, and so either that's what he thinks happened, is that they broke so he was banging on it and trying to fix it. The reason he thinks that is because her boyfriend's catalytic converter got stolen this spring. So they often park on the street. There's an alley behind their house, and they have a one-stall part of the garage in the house that they live in. But it's really tight in the alley, and people leave their garbage cans out there. It's really hard to get in and out of the spot, and you have to get out, move the garbage cans, pull your car out, get out. So a lot of times they just park in the front on the street, and so that's what he thinks happened. So then that turned into a big deal in the afternoon. I mean, just stuff going on. It's just been busy. Anyway. And I'm not busy. Like I Friday afternoon, then after I dropped her off, I did some knitting, and but there's just been a lot. So I'm wearing the Hadley Pullover today. Let's just get on to something else. I always blabber. It's been 20 minutes, but I'll edit a little. Okay, the audiobooks of the week. I probably read 2 of the best books of the year this time. I read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. And I did not know when I started this that it was going to be so good. But one of the things I love about books is when they are set in the place that you live. And Abby Jimenez is the owner of Nadia's Cakes here in the Twin Cities. And she won Cupcake Wars on the Food Network in 2012, maybe, I don't know, a while back. Then she opened this cupcake shop, and she's also an author. She's a person of color. Like, it was all the things wrapped up, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're talking about Rochester. They're talking about a town down by Rochester and the Twin Cities. And the characters were just excellent. I would call it a summer read with meat, right? Like, characters, a little romance, stuff's going on, you're trying to figure it out, like whether or not these two people are going to get together. And so then right away, I had to read the second one, which was called Part of Your World. And that was also excellent. I'm waiting. The other one wasn't available, but I would have read it right away in a row. I love these books so much. I read them or listened to them. I always say read, whatever. Super fast. I couldn't put them down. In the car, when I was walking, came home, continued to listen, would sit in it for a little while. So good. I did have them mixed up. So the first one is Part of Your World, and that's about the couple, and she meets this guy who's 10 years younger, and he owns this bed and breakfast in this small town, and he's a carpenter, woodworker, artist, and she is a emergency room doctor from the Twin Cities, and they meet, and she's going down to see him, but can't believe she's going to date someone that's 10 years younger, and he's like, I don't care. And she just loves this small town, but she's got this high expectations from her father and mother, who are also doctors, who expect her to become head of the department and do all these things. And you're just cheering that she can get over, herself, and they can be together. But all that takes place. In this audiobook, the main character's grandmother, I believe, says, grace costs you nothing. And then that is a little theme that comes up later in the book, and I just loved that moment. And then she takes that on and tells someone else, and it's that moment where it really does cost you nothing. So, and then the second book was about a woman who quits her job to travel the world, and she also meets someone who you want her to get together with. She gets dumped with a baby. Her sister asks her to babysit, and then her sister takes off. There's family stuff going on there. So she has this little baby that she's taking care of, and her landlord comes over one night because he and his girlfriend can't sleep because the baby's been screaming, and then she looks terrible. She hasn't slept in days. Her hair's all just, she's got baby throw up all over her, and he says, I'll hold the baby, you shower. Like, you just look like, it's 4:00 in the morning. And she's like, I don't even know you. I can't let you have this baby. Well, he says, I'll leave the door ajar, but I'm your landlord, I'm right next door. And so she does, and he opens up the baby's little thing and finds a plastic tag that's poking the baby. And so when she comes out of the shower, the baby's sleeping, and so then she just like melts because she's like, the baby hasn't slept all day. Anyway, so that's how they meet. And then you want the two of them to get together, but he has a girlfriend, and it's all the things. But really well developed stories. Like, she's not going to get involved with him. She's got all kinds of family stuff, and then she's got her own thing going on that's a big secret. So big. Yeah, really good. 5 stars. Love them both. So then after you read 2 really, really good, it's hard to get the next one, right? So I have started 4 audiobooks and have not been able to get into any of them. So I left 2 for next time. I'm 50% in one, and I'm just not loving it. But I think part of it is that coming off those 2 that I just liked so much. And so I just kept saying to myself, just keep listening. I mean, it's not terrible when I'm not liking it. So I might talk about them if I finish them. And then I decided yesterday that the 3rd one I had started, that I got like 15% into, that I thought was just terrible, might be worth listening to. So I went back to that yesterday. I said, just give it like a good hour, because if you only do 10 minutes at a time, right, you can't get involved in the story. So that one's called Vladimir by Julia May Jonas, and it's based on college professors who have an open marriage where they both have had affairs with other people, and then he gets caught having a liaison with a student, but she's 24, and so he, and it's consensual, but you can't do that, and so he's being brought up to the board, and will his wife stand with him or not? But she's falling in love with this other professor who's young, and his name's Vladimir, and so I wasn't sure I was going to love it, but now I'm getting into it. I still have quite a bit left. If anyone's read Vladimir, let me know if I should stick with it, because I don't know. I'm just half-hearted liking it. But I did finish another one in amongst those 4. I started 4 different books. 3 of them, I was like, I'm just not sure. But I finished The House Across the Lake by Riley Sagger. And that's a murder mystery situation, intense, psychological thriller. Can't say I loved it, but I couldn't not listen, right? It was one of those where you're like, I have to know what happens. And it was not at all what I thought. A little weird, a little sketchy. I was like, I don't know if I can buy into this premise. But by the time I got to the end, I was so surprised by what was happening that I was like, wow, okay, maybe that was, better than I gave it in the first few chapters. So, and I've read another one by Riley Sagger. I'm not a huge fan of the psychological thriller. I don't like going to bed and thinking about them over and over again when I'm in the midst of them. Like, I don't like suspense, a whole lot of suspense. So I have to just read them intermittently. Like, I can't watch a really icky show right before I go to bed either. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I'm reading the look sign right now. In this moment, I'm looking at the look sign. I cannot see my face, and I'm looking at it, so I apologize. I'm trying. But when you're talking, you forget that you're just used to looking over here. So I'm going to continue to look over here if I can. All right, so Life's Too Short, excellent, highly recommend. Go download it. The reader was excellent, and several readers in both those books, men and women, right, which I love when they can do the parts. Part of Your World, excellent. House Across the Lake, pretty good, especially if you like that. If you like mystery and suspense, you'll like it. And then Vladimir, I'm getting close to being done, and I don't know. I'm hoping that it has a great last quarter. And I decided to talk about it because I thought I need someone to tell me, oh yeah, I really liked that. Okay. We are making pasta salads at our house, so let's do recipes. That's what we're doing every Sunday. We're making a new pasta salad and just going with it. So I have shared several pasta salads on the podcast before, and I'm going to go old school with this one, and I don't know if this will be anything that anyone can remotely relate to, but my mother used to make noodles, mayonnaise, Miracle Whip. She'd put frozen peas and carrots, like little cut up peas and carrots, tuna, package of tuna or chicken, canned chicken, chopped up, whatever, and then Velveeta cheese cubed. And I said to Ross, well, here's one we haven't tried, and he's like, I think my mom used to make some. I said, yeah, this is old school. Like, this is back in the day, right? So we were grilling hot dogs. And it's just the 2 of us. So we just make up half of a portion of pasta salad, and then we eat it for a couple days. And he sometimes will take it to work as a change of pace with his sandwich because his new office building you have to drive to get something for lunch unless there's one sandwich shop in the area, and he just gets kind of tired of it, so he has been taking those in. So you cube up the Velveeta cheese, and then you just mix everything together. Now, my mother-in-law used to pour a little bit of sugar in her mayo, so my guess is she wasn't using Miracle Whip, and then she'd sometimes pour a little Western dressing in it to give it a little boost. I don't know, but we've also made the oil and vinegar and a little bit of sugar, and with cubed, what did we make last week? Cubed mozzarella, cubed turkey, cubed ham, cubed salami in bow tie pasta with cherry tomatoes. That was delicious, and we made a bigger batch. Even the dog got a little bit of that because it had meat, in it, and we got tired of eating it. And Ross is like, "Don't you think he could eat the meat?" I was like, "Yes, he could eat that." And so we've just been doing, I've shared the shrimp one before. That's in the recipes, that has little shrimps in it with chopped up radishes. So we're just doing a different pasta salad. It's that time of summer where we kind of got bored with what we were making, so we're doing that. Let's talk about the sweater of the week. This is Homebody by Heidi Kirrmaier. Came out in April of 2020. It has a ton of yarns attached to it. It's Aran weight, and it is 15.5 stitches to 4 inches on an 8 or a 9. It has finished chest sizes of 32.5 up to a 6X, which is 71 inches, so huge size range. Adult, crew neck, in the round, oversized. It has petite and plus size, raglan sleeve, top down. It's a written pattern. She was donating proceeds from her sale of this pattern to people during the pandemic that were struggling, and so I think that's probably why I bought the pattern. I had this yarn in my stash, and it was Maggie Knits Irish MK collection, Maggie's Irish Tweed. So it's a tweed yarn. It's in a deep plum colorway. It's old. I think I bought it on clearance, a sweater's quantity, and then had it in my stash for a long time, so I'm not even sure that the yarn is still available, but it is this purple. I would say it's reading a little brighter on the screen, but it does have tons of specks of lavender and turquoise in it. I have it hanging over, I didn't take this off last time, so I have it hanging over this turquoise tunic, and when I put it on, I was like, oh gosh, actually that's got a lot of turquoise in it. Again, no waist shaping. It's got a split hem, increases on the sides to make it a little bit wider at the bottom. You know, just a simple top down 1,000 yards. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else about it. I may get some blue, turquoise blue in satin ribbon and embroider a couple of flowers on the neckline or something like that, just to embellish it a little bit. It's one of my tips in my sweater class, that I just say, if you've got something that's real plain, this is not super plain because it's got all that tweed, but I think I will get a ton of wear out of it. I would just call it an oversized sweatshirt. Just a standard oversized sweatshirt. Would be easy to wear, throw it on. But yeah, there you go. Then I have a shawl of the week, and I have a shawl of the week stacked on top of a bunch of other stuff. So that I have stuff underneath here that I'm also going to show you. But this is the Simple Things shawl from 2009. It's by Mary Heather Browne. Mary Heather is a staff member at Ravelry, and it was written for fingering weight yarn, although I did not knit it in fingering. 19 stitches to 4 inches on a US 4. It is supposed to be 46 inches from point to point minus shorter, and I'll tell you why, and 17 inches down the center increases. This simple little shawlette is designed to use just one skein, 360 yards of a particularly lovely hand-painted yarn. Work from the center top down. It's easy knit in stockinette stitch with increases along the edges and a center spine. Garter eyelet ridges along the bottom edge prevent curling and add texture while still letting the yarn draw focus. A handy small traveling project. Okay, so what I did is I had purchased this yarn that had stuff in it, right? So this is a novelty yarn that had these little leaves and brown wooden beads in it, and I made a ton of these. When I was wearing it back when I first originally knit it, my mom liked it, so then I went back and bought more yarn and made it for her. And then I also made it in like a mossy green. That color came. I'm gonna look up the name of that yarn quick here. This yarn is called Trendsetter Yarns Soleil, Soleil. That might be French, and I don't speak French. I got it at Amazing Threads in Minneapolis, but Stephen B carried it, and another yarn store locally here. I knit this way back in 2011, so it's older than the hills, but it's a cotton yarn with all those little things in it. I'm going to take it down and show it to you. So I'm going to show it to you. And they just knit in wherever, they were hooked in the yarn, so they just knit in wherever they happened. And these little leaves are like, they have like, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, like they have little ribs in them as if they're really leaves. Like they're embossed. This is super interesting. Yeah, and then it just has this edging, which is yarn over knit two together in garter along the bottom. So it's a triangular shawl. But what I was thinking is, I don't know why I didn't talk about this one during kind of when I was going through all the shawls alphabetically, and I went back through recently. I have a list of, I made lists of all of the shawls on that I ever shared on the podcast, all the sweaters that I ever shared on the podcast, and then everything I wore and shared on the podcast, because I was just struggling to know. I mean, it's been 100 episodes, right? Like, so have I already talked about this? I don't want to repeat myself, but I never shared this one that I remember, and I don't have it written down on there. I double checked. But it would make a lovely shawl for using hand spun yarn, a highly variegated yarn. If you like to bead and you just wanted to bead random beads on, in different places, I got a lot of compliments when I wore it. People would stop and say, "Gosh, I really like that. What is that?" And it's super soft. It's just a lovely yarn, but definitely a novelty project, where you're knitting these in, and you would just knit and just push the leaves through or the beads through to the front as you knit them. So kind of and they didn't come out evenly. They're not even. They didn't come out evenly. There's some more than others, but when you wrap it around, you can't really see how there's no asymmetry. But anyway, I thought, okay, simple things, I'm going to share that, because it is just, if you're just looking for that nice top-down triangular shawl with stockinette, because you don't want to have to think. You just want an easy-to-wear shawl. So there you go, the sweater and the shawl of the week. Okay, I have some finished objects, as you can see. I got a little crazed on the braided necklace concept. So I knit a whole bunch of them. So last time I shared the braided necklace with all of you by Olgajazzy that I had knit up in 2 colors, and I had used like a sport almost DK weight on this one, and then I did fingering weight on a kind of a single plied fingering weight in the green, and I thought, gosh, these are colors that I wear quite frequently, so you should probably have a hot pink one to wear. And then you definitely need a raspberry one, and this is a tweed. This one is a tweed. So it has little flecks in it. I have a vest out of this one. It was just a leftover skein. And then I thought, oh, you should probably have blue, turquoise blue. So in the last 2 weeks, I have made 3 more of these. And then I also finished the double dart, which is a necklace pattern. I have 2 of these, but I had this yarn that had the clear beads in it. And so I decided, well, I better do that one too. I had this Louisa Harding Grace hand-beaded yarn, 2 skeins of it in my stash for forever. And I loved it because the beads are crystal and they're really pretty. They really glitter, but I just didn't know what to make with it. I didn't know if I wanted to make a hat out of it. I had about 148 yards, so enough to make a hat, but I got it at 3 Kittens Needle Arts, and I do not know how long I'd had it. A long time in my stash. So basically you start here at the point and the whole thing is ribbed, and you just work your way up, and then when you get here you split. And I worked quite a bit further and then ripped back because I decided I didn't. This was a thicker yarn than called for in the double dart pattern. It's usually knit in fingering weight, and this is heavier than that. So there, can you see how pretty those are? The yarn was kind of an unspun yarn, so like a single ply, a little bit heavier. They really sparkle. And then you work and you decrease, and then you work and you decrease until you get down to just like a little single rib. And I just decided to do I-cord, and so then I just knit I-cord, and then I just tie it in a knot, and it can go around your, so it's another necklace. It just can go around your neck. So we're doing the purple theme today apparently, but very fun to knit. Only took me a couple days. I did it on double points, and just because it never gets very wide, and it was easy enough to do. The pattern is by Linda DeRuiter. It came out in September of 2015, and I have shown this pattern before, but I was in the necklace mode. I was gonna make this one the purple beads, but I would not have used enough of it, and I thought this is gonna be a better use of that. So a whole bunch of necklaces done, used up scrap yarn on all of them. Someone asked me the other day if you can make it with a 10-gram mini. No, I needed more than 10 grams. I weighed them and I put them in my notes. You know, I used a single ply yarn. I made them longer. They're really kind of a choker, and I wanted them to hang just a little bit lower, so you make like 16 holes. And so I made 17 on one, I made 19 on one. It just really depended on how long I wanted that to be. See, so this one would, see, so this one's gonna be like this. And then I wet blocked 2 of them and just stretched them a little longer. So I do have, I would say, yeah. See how much shorter my blue one is than my green one? So you can just try it on, and then you just sew a little button and you make a little crochet loop. Easy peasy. And really fun. Someone came to my knitting, well, I can say, Barbara came to my knitting group last week, and she was wearing one, and she said to me that it was fun to make, and I said yes. It is not intuitive at all. That you can make 2 strips of stockinette with some holes in it, and you can push 2 pieces through and get a braid like this. Like, it's like magic when you're doing it. It's like, wow, that's really cool. So I would recommend that everyone make one, just, even if you never wear a necklace. You can wear it as a headband. You could stitch it together and wear a headband. You could give it to a kid as a headband. Yeah, I could definitely. I didn't make it long enough, but yeah, would definitely make a cute headband. So there you go. Those are the things. Oh, also have to share a pair of socks. This is the plaid play sock pattern. I mixed up the names of last week's socks and last podcast socks and this podcast socks. They're both by the same designer, and one was called Tic Tac Toe and one was called Lattice Plaid, and I think I mixed them up because I had them mixed up on my project page. But this pattern is not available anymore, and I don't know why. I had just a cream natural colored yarn and then a variegated yarn for this one. I love corrugated ribbing in variegated yarns, or when you swap it out and make stripe. I love that look. So that's really fun. Okay. Now I have a couple more things that I am working on that have had a bit of a kerfuffle that I thought I should share. So the first one I knit is this little sweater. So my nieces were here. I think I told you all. They came to visit my nephew, and so they'd be my great nieces. This is my nephew. And I just, thought, okay, little girls need little sweaters. So I had gotten some yarn from Amber in a box to share, and one of the colorways was this in this chunky yarn, and it was listed as Aran weight, and so I thought, well, I can knit up a little sweater in that. So this is called the Eyelet Yoke Cardigan. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's by Sarah Hoadley. It was meant to be knit with Lion Brand Cotton Ease. There's a child version, there's an adult version, and this yarn was actually a little bit heavier than that, and so, but I was, I didn't pay for it because I got it from, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna use up all the green because I didn't use very much. I didn't use up all this, right? Then I'm gonna use up all the green, and then it was gonna be too short. So I thought it'd be a little more, that I could get a little more. So then I was like, well, I'll just use the rest of that. Well, then I got to the end of that. I was like, oh, I don't know if it's long enough. I really need to try it on the little girl. But then I didn't have a lot of Aran weight in pretty colors in my stash. So I thought, well, I'll order more since they had donated yarn to Amber. So I ordered from Fleece and Harmony this Aran weight yarn in the green and the cream multi. So one is called Warm and Fuzzy on the inside, and this one is Warm and Fuzzy. This is called Cupcake, and this one's called Linden Blossom. So I ordered those, but I thought, gosh, if I use a little more of this one, this is for the 6-year-old, I probably better get another color. So I ordered a pink to go with it. And they came in the mail from Canada, because they're on Prince Edward Island, and they were worsted weight. And I looked at them and I'm like, I'm sure I ordered the heavier stuff. And then I held them up and I was like, no, this is like completely different. The plies are different. That one was like a 2-ply and one was like a single ply, and I was like, this is not even close, and it's not inexpensive, and the shipping, so shouldn't have done it, right? So then I got in touch with them and I said, hey, I got the wrong yarn, and she was like, right away, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, will you mail it back? And I was like, sure, and she said, I will credit you the shipping that it took to get there, and then I won't charge you any shipping to get you the new yarn. And I was like, great, that's fair, right? They made a mistake, no problem. Well, it cost me $22 to ship it back because it's going, and that was the cheapest I could get it, the 3 skeins. So then I DM'd her and I said, hey, it cost me $22. And she goes, I will refund you the $22. And I was like, okay. But it didn't seem worth it at the time. To me, I would have said, keep the yarn. Like, we don't want to pay you that much. But I didn't need to keep it. I just wouldn't have gone through the trouble. But then it came, so I got the 3 colors, and none of them match. Like, it's not. This one's way whiter, which is fine. This girl's sweater can be a different color. I will swap out the colors so they look different, and I'll try to make this their second one more pink, but I can't use this down here because it's not, the colorway's not the same. It's the same, but it's not. Which, this could have been colors that were dyed and not part of their line when they sent it to Amber to give away. I probably shouldn't have tried to match it, whatever. But I have enough now to make it, so I think I will just add the pink to the bottom of this one, or take out this and add some pink, or try it on her and see, because it did turn out much bigger because I'm using a thicker yarn. It works up so much faster, right? And so I left room for 3 little buttons on the front. So it, I thought I would have this one done and the other one done, but this had to go and then come back to me, and it just came, and I haven't even wound it. So it's laying on the table, but I thought, well, I'll share that I had a positive experience with them, right? They stood behind, they got me what I needed, and I got a very nice card that said, we're sorry, and mistakes happen. I was not mad about somebody made a mistake, right? But I am frustrated that I bought $70 worth of yarn and it's not a closer match. Maybe when I wind it, this will look more creamy, but I think the base is just a different base, and the green is way off, like completely off, which is, the girls don't need matching sweaters. That was never my intention. I was going to try to mix and match, but anyway, so I will try to get that done for next time, and so I can have okay, so that was, a little kerfuffle, right? Probably more about me trying to save money and then ended up spending money because I was feeling guilty that I kept 3 skeins for myself. No, 2 skeins for myself. So then, kerfuffle number 2, I knit this Felix Pullover, oh gosh, a couple of years ago. And I had Aran Weight Ella Ray superwash chunky yarn, and I will put a picture in of me in it, and it was, I made it long because I thought I'd wear it over leggings, and it was snug, but now it would be snugger, right? Because 3 surgeries in 1 year and COVID, and I need to walk more, eat less. If all the other if older clothes are going to fit you, and it's so much better for my foot if I don't weigh as much. So I had not worn this a lot because it was just kind of snug around my belly and my butt. So I thought, well, I will fix it. So I put it in my sweaters class because it's this top-down raglan with this pretty lace panel in it, and it's just, you can do anything on a raglan, so it's kind of nice. It knit up really fast. But I tried it on in front of the class when I was at Bee Woolen teaching, and I said, I don't think this is very flattering on me. I'm short and it's hitting me at the wrong spot, and so I think I need to cut it off. So I folded up the bottom part of it just while I was standing in front of a class of 20 people. Let's do that, right? Let's have everybody give you their impressions of your body right there on the spot. And they all were like, oh, yes, right? Like it completely changed the look of the sweater. So there is, I tried it on and I was like, okay, I measured another sweater and I'm like, okay, I need to cut off 8 inches that I have knit. So I cut a yarn and picked it out, and I picked all the way around, and I picked all the way around, and you have to pull the yarn through, an entire row. Anyone seeing the problem in this? And I get it all picked out, and then I unwind the bottom of it. Then I put it on the knitting needles, because now I'm going to just do ribbing on the bottom, and I'm going to try it back on and see, and I might make a split hem, because I kind of like that. And I put my needles in, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like a half row off because I'm going the other direction. No, I'm not. Wasn't going the other direction. Did not have to cut the stitch. Did not have to pick out a whole row. Sometimes when you make decisions late at night, you are not thinking, I could have just picked out the bottom hem and ripped it up. For some reason, in my mind, in the moment, I had knit it bottom up and it wouldn't unravel that way. But I didn't. I knit it top down. So anyway, so that was a wasted hour, sitting in front of the TV. Just wasn't thinking at all. So I share. as we all make silly mistakes. So now I got it, the needle back on it, and I have tried it on, and it's a little long, so I might rip back 2 more rows or put less ribbing at the bottom. I just have to decide. The neckline just has that much ribbing, but the cuffs have this much, so, but I warm folded, so I like to have kind of even margins, like the top, the sleeves, the bottom be similar, so I wouldn't want to put like 3 inches of ribbing on the bottom. I would just want a little bit of ribbing. So that will be now take no time to fix, and then it'll be ready for fall, which is why I did it after that class. I came home and I'm like, leave that sweater laying out and fix it. But now I'm teaching this class on Wednesday this week. I'll have to finish it by Wednesday, or just hold it up with the needles in it. Maybe that would be funny. Just be like, hey, sometimes you make a mistake. But the increases are, you know, it's just this little lace arrows that are kind of fun in there. I thought it might be kind of fun to run ribbon through there, or another color of yarn, like wrapped around that center. I don't know, like duplicate stitch. I don't know, like it's just plain. It could have a little zhuzh, right? Could have a little Corey added to it. So there's my Felix sweater. It's fairly oversized, and because I was doing increases to increase for my bottom, but my waist is not as big as my bottom, my upper waist, but my belly and my rear. So I probably don't need quite that much width in the bottom, but then I looked at how far apart my increases were. You can see them there, increase and increase. So I'd have to rip all the way back up here just to take those 4 increases out. Just probably not worth the inch it would save me, but maybe. Lots of things to think about. And then that's when I get stalled out, when I start putting my designer hat on, and I'm like, well, what would make this better? How many things could you do to fix this? What would you like to do to make it better? Would you like to add some type of detail at the bottom, you know? And then it sits in a bag. Tell me if anybody else does that. Do you just like overthink all the ways in which you could make something better? Okay, 2 little things I saw on the internet. Super cute socks. These are the Carousel Socks. If you are a sock knitter and you love interesting technique like I do, and you want to learn something, you know, new, look at those. I assume they're knit in strips around and around. This is a knitty pattern from a long time ago. 2012. It's been in my notebook since 2012 too. The pattern is worked as a spiral with 1 stripe that runs around leg and foot throughout the work, just like a bandage would be wrapped. I just think that would be fascinating to knit, how that works. And then to make the heel, oh my goodness. It might even just be a little too challenging for me. Like I might be like, I don't know that I want to work that hard, but boy, are they cool. So, and then the next time someone has a baby, this is in my baby folder, things to make. These are the Showsy Toes Baby Sandal Socks. And look at that. Is that not cute? Oh my gosh. Even just to take a picture of a baby in that. These are by Stephanie Lotven, who I love. She's a friend. Telly Bean Knits. This is a pattern from, I don't even know. There's no date on it. I can look it up. This pattern was written by Stephanie in August of 2013. So I'm going to say it was pretty early on in her knitting design career, which is super cool that she was, you know, it might have been her 3rd pattern that she ever did. But oh my gosh, just darling. She did a lot of kids wear when she first started designing. So that's really cute. I just want to make those for some little baby that's coming into the world, because that would be a cute shower gift to give to someone. Okay, what have I been watching? Quickly, I was watching Sneaky Pete until it got violent, and then I had to not watch it for a couple of days. I was like, I don't know if it stays like this. there was just a really icky part that I didn't like. But now I started watching again last night, and it's okay. It went back to being, a show about a criminal who's trying to be someone else, and everybody's chasing him, and he's trying to get away with everything, and he's going to get caught, and he never gets caught. And anyway, then I watched all of The Lincoln Lawyer, because Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, I really wanted to get some knitting done. I'm working on a couple of sweaters. I have 2 sweaters, and neither one of them getting finished because I keep flopping back and forth between both of them, and I just want them both done. And so I was like, okay, this is it. You're just gonna, no more necklaces. No more necklaces, Corey. Knit on the sweaters. So I really was banging out on the sweater, so I was watching. If you have something good to watch, it's easier for me to sit. So, yeah, The Lincoln Lawyer is based on the Michael Connelly books, and he is a lawyer who has an accident and like a life and death experience, and then he starts drinking and doing drugs, and then he goes to rehab, and so he was a lawyer, and then something happens, and he gets kind of called back into. So if you've read the books, you know that I think there was a movie based on some of this. And this is going to be a series they're going to continue on. I just saw a thing on Netflix that they're going to make another series. So this was only 10 or 11 episodes was the first part, but really good. Very interesting. I liked the main character a lot. I assume he is Hispanic. You can hear it a little bit in some of his dialect. And I love that they left that they didn't make him like clean it up and make him like a white lawyer. I mean, just wouldn't have been necessary. So I love. Then I watched a documentary called Ballet Now. So good. So good. I just wanted something the other day, and I went to documentaries, and I have watched some dance stuff, so I think that's why it came up. Tyler Peck is a ballerina with the New York City Ballet. She's a prima ballerina or whatever, and it follows her when she gets asked to be one of the first women to ever choreograph this kind of charity fundraiser event celebrating different types of ballet and dance in LA. And she puts together all these dances, but she features in almost all of them, so she had to learn all these different. So there's tap dancing and ballet, and there's hip hop and ballet, and then there's ballet with her, and then there's a clown. She does a whole thing with a clown who can dance, and and so you follow her through this whole while she's getting this whole thing ready, and her practicing, and her getting it all done. It was called Ballet Now. Tyler Peck is the ballerina, and it was excellent. Really interesting. Okay. Special notes, things I have to tell you. So I spent a little time sorting patterns. I will put a little picture in here. I taught the sweater class at B Woolen, and in the sweater class is a sweater called Cheek Kimono, which came in a book, and it's no longer available, but you can buy the book on Amazon, which I did not know at the time. And I have in the past had someone contact me and say, hey, cannot find the pattern, would you make a copy? So I've made a copy because the book was discontinued, so you're okay, and it's old, and so I made a copy. So I knew I had copies of this pattern, and I couldn't find them. And this woman and her friend bought the yarn at the event, and I was feeling so bad that they purchased the yarn and they swatched while they were there to knit this, and they didn't have a pattern. So they both wrote me emails. I'm like, I'm looking. And then the next day I was like, I have got to find that pattern, and I could not find it. And now we're redoing the office, right? So things have been in a little upheaval. We had some stuff. I took down some things off the wall, and I kind of rearranged the closet, but it's not all. In my mind, I have about 20 things to finish, and then the closet could be organized because they're just sitting there. So I'm searching and searching. So I went to the basement to get out all my old 3-ring notebooks that had patterns in them. I thought I must have organized it and put it in those 3-ring notebooks. And I couldn't find the 3-ring notebooks. And there's a Sterilite box that had the 3-ring notebooks in it. And I was like, when I purged all my teacher files, did I purge the 3-ring notebooks? Because back in the day, we printed everything out, right? And so I had not gotten rid of those things. And I always print out my patterns because I write all over them. So I had them in things like, I had them by date, like patterns Corey knit in 2013 and 14 and stuff like that. But they weren't, and then I had some notebooks that were like all sweaters that you have knit, but they weren't organized. And I was like, I don't need to keep this stuff, right? Almost all the patterns have now gotten put on Ravelry in some way, shape, or form. And I don't often knit sweaters over and over again, so I thought you could clean that out. I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, so then I'm back in the closet trying to find, I couldn't find it. So I wrote the ladies a note. I was like, you know what? I can't find the pattern. So I was Googling. I was trying to see if I could come up with, and then I thought, well, they might have to reach out to someone else on Ravelry to get it. And they were like, no problem. I said the book is available as a used book on Amazon, which I don't think it was before, but somebody must have had the used book. And they were like, okay. And no more than 10 minutes later, I went in the closet and got out a box of hand knit stuff that I'm knitting like for Christmas gifts for next year. Like I have a couple of hats in there, and I have a sweater in there for my mom, and I just have some stuff in this little box, and it's overflowing. I lifted it out, and what was stuck in the edge of it? 2 ditto copies of that sweater. But in the meantime, my husband had 3 boxes right over here that he needed to go through, because he said, I'm not putting my files back in the office until I've sorted, right? They're not going back in. And I was like, that's fine. He had boxes where he had put all his files, and I'd gone through all mine. And so he's hauling them to the family room because he's going to sit one night, and guess what he hauls over there? The box with the 3-ring notebooks in it, in the patterns. And I was like, I've got to get organized at this house. So I sat on the floor, and I organized alphabetically every pattern in 7 3-ring, big 2 and 3 inch 3-ring notebooks. And or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I did like that. And then and they're all in plastic sleeves. I'm sitting on the floor because Cody, I wanted to be down by Cody. I'm sitting on the floor, but the more I stacked, the less he could be by me. And I struggle to get up off the floor because I don't like to kneel on my knee replacements. So usually I lay myself out flat and then just walk my feet and my hands in and stand up. I don't get on my hands and knees and my elbows, and I have this bad shoulder. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to roll onto my stomach and get myself up, because if you have knee replacements, tell me if you like to kneel on your knee replacements. I cannot stand the feeling. They put in like a little plastic kneecap that's in like a groove, and your skin is over that, and it's just, I don't know, to me it's the worst feeling. So I have this little blue kneeling pad that I use if I'm going to be down on the floor, or if I want to kneel and scrub something or whatever. It doesn't happen very often. I just say, honey, can you do that? But it's tucked under the thing in there. So I'm thinking, well, I can just kneel on, it's like a pad that's this thick. Do you think that I had enough space around me where there was carpet? No, it was all covered in plastic sleeves. I was like the cartoon person on ice. Like, there were plastic sleeves, and every time I went to put my foot or lay or my hand, like, there were just plastic sleeves stacked everywhere because I hadn't gotten any further, and I needed to get up, and I couldn't reach my kneeling pad, and Cody was 3 feet away, and I couldn't get around him, and I just had to, like, and I'd already done all the work of sorting, right? I do not want to make a mess of these piles that are slipping and sliding everywhere. It was hilarious, but also a little sad that I couldn't, in my little spot where I'd been sitting with one leg out and one leg pulled in, I couldn't, like, get myself on my knees to get, and so I told my husband, and then he was sad. He was like, oh, honey. I'm like, I don't know. I don't like to be on my wrists because my thumb replacements and the shoulder, like, it's a whole thing. I got up. But we almost had to call in, an EMT service, fireman, whatever. Bring the crane in. Got a woman in Victoria who can't get up off the ground. It was just stupid. I should have done it at the kitchen table, because then the next day, my neck and back were so sore from sitting and doing that. Okay, finished. Here's the finished box. I'm going to show you. They're all alphabetized A to Z. I put them in order. Not, if I had to do it again, would I do it that way? Not necessarily. Because if I want to look for a baby pattern, they're not by baby. They're by alphabetical, so if I remember the name of the pattern, then I could look it up easier, which is what, like, I wanted to find the cheek kimono pattern, so I would have looked under C. So that was my thought. But now in hindsight, if I want to know if I have a certain shawl pattern, I'm going to have to know the name of it, which is fine. They're in alphabetical order, but I don't know that was the best way to do it in hindsight. I don't know. Anyway, it's done. They're in a box. The box is in the closet. Anyway, it was a big job. I am going live on August 21st at noon Central Standard Time with Floxy. So I am teaching for Floxy, which is the new knit and escape company that changed their name and let Christy Glass go because she made a mistake. And I have shared my feelings about that with the company and how that all went down. And they have reached out and asked me to teach in September 2 classes on a Saturday. And I said, yes, I would teach. They pay really well. Christy has moved on. She's got her own Patreon and YouTube private. If you want to follow Christy, you can go over and do that. I think she got herself in trouble in a culture that is not forgiving, and I don't think she's not outwardly racist any more than we're all racist, because we were, if you're a person, if you're white, you were raised as a racist, like you were raised to have white privilege, and but she was stupid in the moment. It was stupid. She made a dumb comment, stupid comment, and inappropriate, and should have rung bells right away, but it didn't, and so she got taken down. But this company that was Knit and Escape, that planned events and everything, and had a whole bunch of employees working for them, said, we want to reinvent ourselves, and I see them doing a lot of work toward learning and figuring things out and doing better as a company. And so I said, okay, so I'm going to teach for them in September on a Saturday. I just got my contract. Anyway, I will let you know. Teaching on the 24th of September, a 1-hour workshop and a 2-hour workshop in the afternoon. I just got the contract and I can't remember what I'm teaching. I should, but I can't. Anyway, I think I'm doing Choose Your Own Path hat, the Latvian braids, and corrugated ribbing, I think. And then I'm talking about Ravelry for an hour, I think. Those are the 2 things. But they're doing a go live with all the instructors, and they're going to have a little half an hour time where we can talk about what we teach and things like that. So I'm going live on Instagram on August 21st at noon, and some of you are show up kind of people, and it would be really nice if you would mark your little calendar right now. Write down August 21st, Corey, noon, and come on Instagram, so that it's not just me talking to this person, right? You just want to have somebody show up because they're having you, and you want to say, yes, I have some followers that would show up, and then not be there all by yourself. Okay? So it should go live at Central Standard Time at noon for half an hour, and just me chatting. with this person. I don't know if they'll have questions for me or whatever, but I'll mention it again. Just wanted to put it out there. And then I have a little Corey story today. And not that I haven't had several already. But one of the local yarn stores here in the Twin Cities has a Facebook group. And a lot of yarn stores have Facebook groups. And I follow them. And they posted a picture of a half-finished fisherman's sweater with cables and baubles and beautiful sweater, and it had a back and a 2 sleeves or 1 sleeve and a half a front, and they said a gentleman brought it in and his wife is in the nursing home and he would like to have someone finish it for her, which just, right? And so right away I think Stacy. So I tagged Stacy on Facebook and I said, hey, and then I type in, I assume he offered to pay, right, for this, because Stacy's a sample knitter. She gets paid for her work. So I had hoped that he wasn't walking in just hoping that someone out of the goodness of their heart. And there was no pattern. So Stacy would have to look at what's already knit and write it out, right? That's a big job, bigger than that gentleman would know, right? And so then the next day, Stacy said, hey, I commented back and I haven't heard anything. Do you know if they found someone? And I was like, no, but I know the owner, so I'll call, right? So I called Elizabeth, and she wasn't in, but I got someone else, and I just said, hey, I'm the one who commented on Facebook, and I use a sample knitter who's amazing, and she does this kind of work, and she would be happy to do it. And so I just wanted Elizabeth to know that it's not just a random person. Like, I have worked with her and I know her rates and whatever. And so Stacy got the call, but I went back over to Facebook to look at the listing, the little post that they made about it, because I was going to talk about it on the podcast. Oh, someone's going to sing. Okay, so I went back to look at this and said, Stacy, someone tagged that they think that they know what the pattern is. And she's like, are you kidding? And I was like, no, there's a link. And so 2 minutes later, she had Googled, and from this link that this person had posted, and sure enough, there is a website called Antique Pattern Library. Did you guys know? Isn't the internet amazing? Like, Stacy found the pattern. It's up. It's been like scanned and put up on this Antique Pattern Library. So it's antiquepatternlibrary.com, I think. I'll link it in the show notes, and you can just put that in and it will take you. And every year they add more and more, and they are looking for volunteer librarians, ex-librarians, library workers to help with part of their process of getting old patterns up on the internet. Isn't that cool? And so now Stacy has the pattern. They sent it to her, and she's going to be able to use the instructions that she found on this website from this woman who happened to know which one it was. I mean, that's just incredible. Yeah, they got the title of the actual pattern. So the pattern is called number 8413 Cardigan Pattern, because that's the way we used to do it, right? By Bernhard Ullman Company, CO. And it was on Ravelry.com with no pattern link. And then this woman, Holly Miles, you are amazing that you did that, because then Stacy was able to get it. Gotta love that, right? Knitters. Knitters helping other knitters. All right, that's all I have today. I didn't think I had much because, I don't know, it's just been crazy and I was kind of throwing things together at the last minute. I am going to share one more thing. Because of my love for the Tour de France, which is now over, I had ordered myself a hat for walking at the dog park. And 5 years ago, I had a polka dot jersey, sleeveless, that was like a little woman's golf shirt. And I had given it away or given it to Goodwill or whatever because it's not in my closet anymore. And I was looking on the website because I just wanted to sport them. And so I ordered a new little polka dot jersey. And I ordered, as you can see here, an extra large. And this is what I got. Like, there is no way. Like, this would fit one breast. Like, the shoulders are probably would fit, maybe. But it's 100% cotton, I think. Let me look here. It's all in French. Of course it is. Anyway, there's just no way. It's just going to be way too tight on my middle and my boobs. I would call it more a large. It does have the little tag here. If someone wants this and thinks that they could wear it and wants to pay the shipping on it, let me know. I'll send it to you. I thought, oh, it's 100% cotton. I better get the extra large. That way I'll have some room. No, it's like a medium probably for like in some women's fitted sizes. It's just very petite. Sleeves are little.
Hi, everybody. Just popping in here to let you know that Kiley stopped over today because she wanted to see Cody. And she had a little time, so we recorded a little thing together. It probably will last about 30 to 35 minutes. We did some question and answer, and she talked a bit about the bar, but there is a part in this upcoming thing that is hilarious. So you can fast forward through the bar talk or whatever, but I highly recommend that you watch part of it where I am laughing so hard I'm thinking that we're going to have to turn it off. So I'm going to put that in here, and then that's why the podcast is going to be so long. And guess who stopped by?
Hi, it's Kiley.
This is my daughter that we have talked about on the podcast for the last few years. Very intermittently. I don't share everything. Well, I'm an overshare, but I am an overshare. But anyway, she was out. I was out and about, and so I said, do you want to come over and just do a little talk time, and we'll chat about what it was like to go through the bar experience, and then we have some questions that I've been saving to do with her because I thought it would be fun.
And you have lipstick on your teeth. We have that too.
Great.
Better? Yeah.
I don't think they could have seen it.
I disagree. On the screen.
Okay, we're off to a great start. It's not lipstick, it's Burt's Bees. So my lips are hot.
Oh, right.
Because they got menthol.
Big problem at the high schools recently, putting Burt's Bees on your eyelids. The youth of America. Because it burns, and that's right.
On purpose they do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't miss their lips. Yeah.
No, but like, is it considered like a drug related?
Yeah, I think it's
high and make
right.
Our eyes burn?
I think it's the glue sniffing of the 2020s.
Oh.
So there you go. Don't need to watch the news because I've got it covered.
Kiley works with high school kids in speech and debate part-time throughout the year. She's an assistant coach at the high school. I've probably mentioned that before, but she does get her self in there with different...
The youths.
Yeah.
I'm with youths in the wild.
So we went shopping on Saturday, which I shared with everyone that we went shopping for some professional clothes because I was gone all day on Saturday, and then Kiley picked up my new lenses, so I chatted about that. But do you want to tell them about the experience taking the bar?
Yeah, so I graduated this summer, and then walked in graduation, and then about a month and a half later took the bar exam. And Minnesota has the uniform bar exam, so if you're like not interested, you can just like fast forward through like some of this prologue situation about what the bar exam is. But essentially when you graduate from law school, you're a lawyer, and when you pass the bar exam, you become an attorney, right?
Okay.
So that's the difference between the two terms. People use them interchangeably. That's incorrect. And so right now I'm already a lawyer, like without passing the bar exam, I'm a lawyer, right? I have a JD. And once I hopefully pass the bar exam, I will be an attorney and I will be licensed to practice.
You have to not bump the table because it moves. It can be a small earthquake. I had to learn to
No, I love it. No, actually I love it. I think it adds like
motion sickness.
Yeah.
Okay, to the story. Okay.
Right, absolutely. Really feels like you're there. Because I felt sick while I was taking the bar, so that's just like part of that for you. But you take the bar, hopefully you pass, and the Minnesota offers the uniform bar exam, which is offered by like 40 odd states. And so if I pass that, that is the same bar exam that people all across the country took just last week. So I studied for about 10 weeks and then I took it and I feel okay, cautiously optimistic. Not allowed to talk about the specifics of the bar exam. I had to sign a bunch of confidentiality stuff, but I can say generally that I felt okay, very nervous to get my results back. While I wait for my results to come back, I have like kind of a provisional license to practice law as someone who sat for the bar exam. So I will be able to start work in about 2 weeks in August here. I'm at the Court of Appeals in Minnesota, which is the state court. And I'll be at the Capitol building downtown in St. Paul, which is where I live. And so that's kind of what my law school career has wound up to be. And I'll be there for at least a year. I can renew after that if I'd like, but I also kind of think that I might be ready to move on to something else, and most people just do a clerkship for about a year. So I really appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers. I got a lot of really nice cards and notes and gifts in the mail, which was really sweet. And I definitely felt like I had a lot of people thinking, praying for me while I was there at the exam, which made me feel a lot better, made me feel more confident doing what I needed to do. So now we wait. That's kind of the moral of the story. I'm just really happy it's done. I've had a really fabulous week. My mom and I have spent a ton of time together in the past 2 days. We just keep scheduling more things to do together, which is great because I just haven't had a lot of time to see her this summer. And then tomorrow, actually, I leave for a trip with my boyfriend. We're going to Mackinac Island as a graduation, post-law school, post-bar trip. So we're going up to Mackinac, which will be super fun. And I'm sure my mom will talk about Mackinac at some point.
I talked a little bit about it, that you guys were leaving and that I have such fond memories that I don't want to amp it up so much for you guys that you're like, this was nothing like what my mom's expectations were, but that I just want you to enjoy the time away and being together and,
We're really excited. We've been together for almost 5 years in September. So we've gone on a few trips before, but this will be probably our first real vacation, just the two of us. We've gone on trips with his family and with my family, and we've gone to Duluth and done some local stuff. And we visit the camp we work at a lot. But other than that, this will be our first real vacation. So we're really excited to just get away. And I'm excited to spend some time outside after being just in my office for 10 weeks.
Yeah, and you're leaving tomorrow.
And we leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is why I was on the podcast today, because I was like, Mom, my schedule's getting really busy. I'm not going to be able to fit this in if we don't do it today. And she was like, okay. So now we're here. That's that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For us, the time went super fast that you went through law school, and, the time that you were studying, all of a sudden it was the end of July. Now, in hindsight, not while you were in it, but in hindsight, did it go quickly? That time?
Yeah, I feel like COVID's kind of like a time vortex. So that was right in the middle of my law school experience. So it was very weird because in it felt very slow and time didn't feel real. And I think everyone kind of understands what I mean by that. But looking back, it feels like it went really fast. I also think part of the reason it felt like it went faster is because I was constantly changing between being in person and then online and back again. So every semester felt new and different because there were different challenges and even a different format that I was facing. So rather than kind of doing the same thing for 3 years, which could get monotonous, it was like, now I'm going to be in person, now I'm going to be hybrid, now I'm going to be online, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this. And it felt very active throughout the whole time. The part that really felt the longest was the bar exam study. Between at 3 o'clock every day, that was the part where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm done. My brain is fried. I have nothing else to give. And getting over that 3 o'clock hump, and the hour from 3 to 4 passed the slowest whenever I looked at the clock. Somebody was not pressing the gas pedal on the time there. It was real slow. So I would say that part probably felt the slowest. But I saw a really good thing on the internet from someone that I follow that also just graduated law school, and people always say, you know, oh my gosh, I'm this old, I can't go to grad school because by the time I graduate, I'm going to be, you know, right now I'm 25, and then by the time I graduated law school, I would be 28, right? If I started right now, and people are like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Well, you're going to be 28 in 3 years anyway, right? But like but if you go to the grad school or the law school or whatever you're kind of thinking about doing, you will have a degree and hopefully be doing what you want to be doing. And so I think that was a really kind of apt description of how people think about it, because I think it's really hard to go back to school, and going back to school right now is really difficult with like our current employment and underemployment issues that we have. So,
but you had a woman in your class who was one of the oldest graduates that ever graduated from law school, right? Wasn't she 60 something?
Yeah, I think she was 68 or 70, and she graduated. And then like at the beginning of our graduation ceremony, they talked about all the different the composition of our class, where everybody was from, the countries, the degrees, like the things people had done. And they said, you know, we have people between the ages of like, I think the youngest was like 21 and like 75 or something. Yeah. Someone was graduating. And it's like, I was also in school because my school was kind of a hybrid based learning program and had a lot of online enrollment options and puts a lot of emphasis on diversity and getting a lot of different and new people into the legal field, because it's been predominantly run by kind of old money white men for a long time. And so my school puts a lot of emphasis on that. And so I had a lot of people in my classes that were older than me, that were second career law students, and were raising families while they were in law school, and just like hats off to them, because it's absolutely incredible. But those are the sort of lawyers we need, right? We need diverse lawyers. We need people with different life experiences. We need old people. We need young people. And we need more people to provide services for people who need them. So that was actually was really cool to be in that kind of environment.
Yeah, because you're going to be the first law school that will offer a law degree to for a prison.
Right, to someone who's currently incarcerated.
Yeah.
So we have an online hybrid program, and we have now enrolled someone who is currently incarcerated in that program, and they will graduate, and then I think their sentence is up a little bit before they would actually graduate. But by the time they are out of prison, they will be able to hopefully serve as an attorney, which is going to be just incredible in terms of representation for people who have actually been there. And lived it. I think that's so important. And our Minnesota is getting more and more lenient in terms of offering bar admission to people who might have some criminal background things in their background, which is great. And basically what they're drawing the line now, it's like if you haven't had crimes involving, like, obviously felony crimes are out of the question, really severe things, but if you haven't had crimes involving like truthfulness or fraud, then they will allow you to be an attorney, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like if you got a charge for defrauding a bunch of people, then obviously maybe this isn't the right career for you, because it has a lot to do with like respect, responsibility, and trust. But we're moving towards an era where people with more minor crimes can safely and happily practice law and provide services. And we're also opening up more and more kind of pre-law paralegal programs, and kind of baby lawyer programs where you're not a full lawyer, but you would still be able to kind of represent people in a certain capacity, and you have kind of a certificate, because a lot of other like PA, like a physician's assistant, right? A lot of other professional fields have that, just to kind of help the workload with everything that's going on. And so that helps kind of beef up the workforce, and law is one of the fields that's moving into that more and more, which I think is great, because you know, people need lawyers and people need help. And if you've ever tried to hire a lawyer, and you've been able to pay for one, that can be a really easy experience. But if you need to hire a lawyer and you don't have the money to pay for one, that can be a really stressful and difficult experience. And all lawyers are required to serve a certain number of pro bono hours, which is just free hours towards towards a certain community or a certain group of people in your community. And that's great, but that really only skims off the top in terms of everything we have to do. So it's really great to see kind of the diversification of legal career options that are being offered, as well as the people that are taking up those options.
Cool. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on the matter.
All right. Should we do some of these crazy questions?
Yeah.
That I printed out that I thought would be kind of funny? Okay. Should we just start at the top?
Right.
Okay. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Dog. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix for me too.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a YouTuber. But I
Right.
don't need to watch myself, and sometimes I wonder how I'm even doing this. Okay, this is a really good one because we should probably talk about this one. Phone call or text? Text. We do not like to make phone calls.
Yeah.
We will do just about anything to not make a phone call.
I hate it.
I will pay people money to make phone calls for me. Like I will trade out a job in the house to not have to make a phone call.
Absolutely. I will just not do something.
I can have a phone call on my list for days.
No. Yeah. And for me, like, I'm an introvert, but I'm also an INFJ. And if you're a Myers-Briggs person, you'll understand that, like, I, as one of my personality types, read people a lot. And, like, physicality is a really big part of reading people. And nonverbals make up for, like, 80% of all communications that we do, right? And so for me, like, it's stressful when I can't see what they're acting like, and I can't see their face, and I can't read them. So that causes me stress. But I also I don't like talking to people. And people in my life know that. And I actually, this is funny. So while I was studying for the bar, I wrote on my email signature, like kind of an out of office note. And so I sent it back, like, you know, hey, if you email me, hey, I'm studying for the bar for 10 weeks. Like, if it's an emergency, please text me.
Yeah.
And then I got people emailing me back. They were like, I don't have your phone number. And I was like, oh, must not be my emergency. Like, if you don't have my phone number, then I don't think that you get to text me right now during your emergency. But that was pretty funny. And, like, then someone, like, when people call me, I'll just, like, decline it, and I'll click, like, text me. I'm like, I'm in a meeting. Text me.
Yeah. I don't know why I hate it so bad. I put it off. I just don't want to make phone calls.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be the opposite for me as an extrovert, like that would be something that, because I don't mind talking to people, but I don't know what it is about making a phone call. I would much rather not make a phone call.
I specifically hate making phone calls to, corporations. Like, when you have to call your cell phone company, when you have to call your energy company, and then, like, you've got to do the press 1 if you're doing this, da-da-da-da-da. And I also feel like there is an element of sexism that comes in on phone calls. Not to get political, but, like, a lot of times my voice sounds very young, and so a lot of times I'll call a place and be trying to do something, and they'll be like, who are you? Are you allowed? Do you have the authority? Like, are you supposed to be doing this? And they're just not asking my dad the same questions. And, like, that makes me a little frustrated because I'm like, I do have a right to call right now about this, and you should talk to me, and I don't need to provide you all this information to talk to me about it. So
I don't think of you as having a young voice, but maybe if I just heard it on the phone and never saw your face.
Well, I also have a customer service voice. I hit them with some vocal fry right when they're not expecting it. So, hi. Yeah, no. But I do. I definitely have, like, a voice that I use when I'm, like, talking to you, and then a voice I use when I'm on the phone with someone I don't want to talk to.
Okay. Toast or eggs? Toast. We're not huge fans of eggs, although I've been trying to eat protein more, and sometimes it's easier for me to just make a couple of over easy eggs at lunch with my bagel, because if I really want a bagel, then I have to swap it in with, because I really just want a bread product.
Right. Yeah, no, but that's key. Putting the eggs on the toast, that helps a lot. Yeah. My boyfriend does make really good eggs. He's a really good egg cook, and he can make eggs, like, any sort of way. So I have been a little bit spoiled by him, and I do like when he makes me eggs. But I would never pick eggs.
Yeah.
No. Maybe ever.
Yeah. Okay. Should we skip this one?
Oh, no. We could do this one.
Okay. Cardio or weights?
Absolutely.
Neither.
Yeah, neither.
But I would always pick a walk over going to a gym.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't have weights. I mean, we have some hand weights in the butt.
Remember when we used to walk with soup cans?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were doing that? That was like 2008, 2010 cover of magazines, like, get toned arms this summer, walk with soup cans. And I was like,
yeah,
right. It's true.
No.
That was a thing.
Oh, for sure. I know.
But yeah, I would definitely pick a walk. I really like to bike. I love to swim. I would probably pick swimming over everything else. I was a swimmer for 11 years, and I still really like to do that. But I don't understand the thing about weights, the whole like picking up and putting them back down of it all. That just seems very...
But weight training is supposed to be so much better for you. Like, as I get older, I see more and more things about if I'm supposed to take a choice, that I should always pick the weight training for someone of my age, because that builds like strength in your body, and your body starts to deteriorate as you get older. And so the cardio isn't as important. Not important, but...
Yeah, I guess I'm more of the, like, if my body starts to deteriorate, like, I believe that it should do what it wants to do. Like, I've asked a lot of it, and, like, if that's how I go, then that's how I go, you know? And people are going to disagree with that. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, she needs to exercise. And it's like, right, and you got your body, and you own that, and I'm going to own this one. And, you know, I feel good, and I feel strong, and that's what matters. But, my boyfriend's big into weights. He's big into weightlifting. Like, he's an athlete, and he really likes, like, lifting weights and, like, going to the gym and, like, maxing out on his core, ab, tri, bench, press. And he talks about it all the time, and I'm like, And he is going to a building for 2 hours, and he's picking stuff up and putting it down. And, like, 400 years ago, they would have been like, oh my God, is that our future? Like, that's what we're doing. And then, like, the treadmill, you have to like look at it from the perspective of, like, Plato. Like, if Plato saw us now. Like, walk on a road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go outside. I do think going outside is good. Go outside.
Yeah.
Don't be on a treadmill. That's just sad.
Yeah. Oh, treadmills. Okay. Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter. I got hacked.
Oh, Mom. You got to get on Twitter, girl.
No, I got hacked on Twitter. So our lives have gotten hacked. We talked about that on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, they have all of it.
They have it all. My social security number is out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. I've gotten called.
Somebody has my phone number, and there are a lot of singles in my area that are interested in what I have to offer. That's all I know.
So I had to delete Twitter a while back because I got hacked, and I never re-signed up under a different name or whatever, and I just got frustrated with it, and so then I'm just not over there. I spend too much time on my phone all the way it is, so I had to like try to move some stuff to my second page so that I'm not seeing little icons come up that I must look at immediately.
Plato would also be proud of that. From in my life, Facebook and Twitter serve very different purposes. I on my Twitter follow like a bunch of people who, it's like my echo chamber. It's a bunch of people who I agree with, who I find to be really smart and intelligent, content creators who I enjoy, but typically like politicians, academics, people in the legal field, news media outlets. Like, that's kind of what my Twitter looks like. And my Facebook page looks like a family reunion that's gone wrong. And I like to go on my Facebook page when I just like feel like I need to stick my head out of my little groundhog hole and see what the rest of the world is thinking. I typically don't love what the rest of the world is thinking, but it's important for me to be out there and seeing it. Also, like, every single girl from my high school graduating class is either pregnant or married, and so that has just been my entire feed, and a lot of them are, you know, going back and going to weddings, so that's kind of what my Facebook looks like, but I don't use it for actual social posting purposes.
Yeah.
And I don't really post on Twitter either, though I know I could be Twitter famous, like 100%. Like, I just know I could go viral. I know I could get a TikTok account going, and like, because I'm pithy, I'm quick, I get it. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally understand the psychology there. I could go viral at any time. It's just like waiting to happen.
But you're choosing not to.
Yeah, I just...
Is some of that because you're going to be a lawyer, though?
No.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want a bunch of TikTok stuff out there that people were watching that...
Why not?
Because there's, like, inappropriate... Right? They're making some of the content is very...
Right, but I wouldn't be making inappropriate content. So, like, you can't be like, oh, there's pornography in the library, and if I publish a book and it goes in that library, then it's also going to be pornographic.
No,
right?
that's like, not what I meant. I just meant that some of the stuff that TikTok is pushing to be viral is the weird stuff. It's the really quirky, I don't know, that's
clickbait.
the stuff.
It's clickbait, yeah.
Right, there you go. It's clickbait. So that's what I'm thinking, is that wouldn't be up your alley.
I wouldn't. No, I would just like... I think I have a lot of funny stories that happens to me. I know my mom tells you, and sometimes I call my mom and I tell her, and a lot of times I'm just in the wild thinking, and I think of something and I'm like, that's really funny, like that could be a little bit. I also have like my stand-up comedy routine in my head building, like at some point I'm gonna get called on stage and I'm gonna be ready, like that's how I feel about that. But I don't post on Twitter right now. because I just...
Well, you haven't had time, for one thing.
Right. Yeah, I don't have time. But I don't even comment on social media. Like, I'm not active. Like, I don't like things. I don't comment. I'm just like a bystander, which I think is very introverted of me.
Yeah.
Like, just stand in the corner of the party, but don't engage. But I'm still there. I'm at the party.
Okay. Ice cream cone or snow cone?
Ice cream cone.
Yeah. I'm not an ice chewer in any way, shape, or form, even if it's sugar water. That would just not. I wouldn't even want to eat a snow cone these days. Like, it just wouldn't even.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, the appeal, but I really actually don't understand the appeal. I take that back because you kind of suck out the juice and then you're just left with ice.
Yeah.
And at least with ice cream, there's an attempt to make it all incorporated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ice cream. We'll just skip that. I don't even know what it means. While walking, music or podcasts?
Music.
Podcasts.
I'm not a podcast listener.
Audiobooks. Good audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
I will walk to a good audiobook for sure. I used to walk to podcasts, but sometimes the podcast genre is short, and so you get, almost done with your walk. You have 10 minutes left, and you're tired, and then the podcast is over. And then you go to start a new one, and because they're short form, it just didn't work as well for me as having just an engaging book when I know that I set out that I still have 6 hours left, so it's not going to cut off in the middle.
I do have a podcast that I do listen to, Trixie and Katya. I don't know if anyone else follows Drag Race, but they're drag queens from Drag Race. And Stevie and I are actually going to see them. They're going to be in Minneapolis in like 3 weeks, and they have a comedy show, like kind of a variety show coming, and we love them. We're obsessed with them. They're super funny. They're a little raunchy, and you probably need to watch Drag Race to completely understand kind of the whole culture of drag, but they're awesome, and I do listen to their podcast. But other than that, music. I love music. I have music on.
Oh, all the time.
Literally all the time.
That is one thing in your relationship with Stevie that he has had to grow into the musical theater music that is your phone.
Well, right. I mean, musical theater, I would say, is one of the slices of pie of music that I listen to.
But you know the words to every musical almost ever written. Like you.
I have really good auditory processing and auditory memorization, so I can hear a song once or twice and sing it back. And for a long time, like, I will sometimes hear songs from my childhood that I haven't heard or sang in years, and I can remember them and sing them back. So I probably know thousands.
But you can sing along, and so you do.
Yeah, so basically everything. Oh yeah, and I do. I do. I sing along in the car. Yeah. Yeah, but he's never bothered by that because he has ADHD, and so like the extra stimuli for him is like not bothersome because his brain is like got 4 voices going already. So that's not a huge deal.
Okay. Cake or pie?
Cake
for sure.
I don't like pie.
I like the chocolate Reese's cup pie
cake
at Baker Square that closed. That was my favorite.
There is I found a Baker Square. There's one. It's still out there in the wild. We drove by it the other day. Where was it?
Is the one that's up on 694 by the mall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still exists. Yeah. No, I'm not big on pie. I have kind of a food intolerance to apples, and I think that's been a big barrier for me. But
but like,
I can't determine exactly what I don't like about it. I also don't love cake, though. I'm gonna be honest. A cookie, ice cream over cake 100% of the time. Like, I don't want cake at my wedding. I want an ice cream truck.
Good to know. I'll write that down. Okay. Swimming or sunbathing?
Oh my God, swimming.
Swimming. Yeah, for sure. Big party or small gathering?
Okay, so if the big party is for me, big party. If I'm not the star, small gathering. Just being honest. Like, I'm having a graduation party, and it's like, it's not going to be big. And my wedding is going to be like 35 people, and we're cutting some family. You know what I mean? But it's true.
Because you're an introvert, and you just want
so
small,
so like
closest friends.
But that is considered a big party for me. Like, that's, I think, also like big versus small. You have to like provide a number. I would say a small gathering is just me. Me and the voices in my head. Just kidding. But no, a small gathering is like less than 7 people. I think even when you get to 10, that's too many.
Yeah,
Right. So I would say, but like my grad party is going to be all people that I like, only people that I enjoy that I invited. So that's going to be great. But if I have to go to a big gathering,
just mostly your friends, and then you're letting your dad and I come.
Right. No, I like you. You're okay.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
Well, there have been times in your life when it was lower, when that score was lower.
Absolutely, and there have been times in your life when it was lower for me too.
Oh, probably not.
Right, but
I
like,
even forgive you your biggest faults.
No, I forgive you yours too. But it's like it's like family. You know, you might not always like them, but you always love them.
Yeah,
that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. New clothes or new phone?
Oh, new clothes.
New clothes.
I don't care about my phone. It never works anyway.
I don't even work. Okay. What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Dishes.
Yeah, dishes.
Hate dishes. Laundry is underrated. Okay, the amount of time you actually have to do something is really small.
Yep.
Very small. Versus getting the groceries, you have to touch the groceries like 7 times just to get them back to your house, right?
Biggest pet peeve.
Dishes, same sort of thing. You have to be actively working for like 30 minutes. Laundry,
in, leave it,
right?
Walk
it's
away.
like a good sprint, right?
Come back.
Absolutely. And now that I control my life, I control how I put my clothes away, and that's completely revitalized my world. Like when I used to live here, it was like fold and hang, and now I'm like, I don't like hanging stuff. And folding, there is no reason you need to fold your workout t-shirts, people. Liberate yourself, okay? You're spending hours of your life folding stuff, and that's just society. Like, there are no rules, there are only norms. Get out there and just throw your athletic shorts in the drawer. Stop folding them. You do not need to fold your underwear. If it brings you joy, you can. But do not do it just because you feel like you need to. It's true. Everyone is out there just like hating laundry, being like, oh my God, your kids' clothes. You do not need to fold your kids' clothes. Henry is going to go roll around in dog poop in an hour, okay? And it doesn't matter if he has a crease up the front of his shirt.
Okay, but you could turn and look at me and say those things because everything in my drawers is folded and tucked away.
But Mom, okay, does it bring you joy?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine. That's fine.
I like having everything all in.
You like it just so, totally fine.
Yeah.
But people, like, I was living alone for a long time. I was the only one in my home, and I was like folding my socks and like folding it, and I was like, this is fiddly. Like, this is not helping me. I don't need to fold all my bras and so all the straps go inside the cup like some sort of compact disc, right? And then stack them all up like my mother taught me. I'm like, no, I'm a free woman. And if you haven't been freed, I'm here to free you. That's my soapbox for the day. Don't fold your stuff if you don't need to. Like, there are certain things that absolutely need to be folded. There are certain things that absolutely need to be hung. Do not get me wrong. But your pajamas, that's a great example of something you don't need to fold. They can all happen.
No, you don't have to fold them. You can roll them up.
And if it brings you joy, that's fine. But I'm saying there are people out there that
you
are
know
like,
how I am about pajamas.
Oh, right. It's like a ball gown in your closet.
Lots of pajamas. Love pajamas. Wear pajamas throughout the day. Many days. Will put off showering so I can just keep my pajamas on.
I've become a big fan of the house dress.
But I do like a clean pair every night. I don't have to have it, but I like putting on clean pajamas every night before I go to bed. Unless I'm filthy. Like if I'm, and then I, then no.
And then you still get in bed, right? No, you'd shower. Let's be clear about that. We're not pigs.
Oh, here's the next one. Bath or shower?
Shower. Bath, you're lying to yourself if you say you're not sitting in your own filth. Like, I do think it's acceptable if you're like, I like to relax in the bath. Fine. You have to shower before you bathe and then after.
No.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need to relax and you like soak because your body hurts. Soak.
That's what you do with dishes, not with your body.
I hope everyone out there is laughing as hard as I am because
if they haven't turned me off yet, like they're
some of them are generational though, very generational, right? Like you're.
No, I have mass appeal. I'm just kidding. Everybody loves me.
No,
they don't.
Not everyone loves both of us. I mean, we are highly opinionated women who aren't afraid to share.
What? Are you kidding? Wow.
Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, they've already turned us off. If they didn't like it, they turned us off. I lost a couple people at the drag race thing, and then the rest are just falling off the wayside. And that's fine. They'll come back next week for you.
Sneakers or sandals?
Sandals.
Yeah, sandals.
I hate having stuff on my feet. I don't like socks. I've never liked socks and shoes my whole life. I've always ripped them off.
Or left them at home when we were on the way to a soccer game.
Right. That happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Once or twice.
Or we were going to a restaurant and there were no shoes on your feet and we can't go in. And so we had to start keeping flip-flops in the back seat of Mom's car for those times when Mom didn't check to see if you had anything on your feet when you went out to my car. Yeah, for sure.
But I'm gonna find a way to blame my dad. Ready? Listen to this. My dad always kept a really clean garage. And if you do not have a clean garage, you want to put shoes on before you go out there, right? My mom's car was always in the garage. We always had a really clean garage. Never had to put shoes on. It felt like just an extension of the house.
Yeah, no, that is true.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
Right, so you'd get in the car and be like,
right. I didn't step on anything. Like I didn't feel like I was going out and needing shoes. It really just feels like an extension of the house. And that's how he treats it as well, so.
Okay, hamburger or taco?
Taco.
Yeah, for sure. We love Mexican food for sure.
We love tacos.
Okay.
And they love us.
Couch or recliner?
Couch.
Recliner. Yeah. But you have to get to a certain age to fully appreciate a good recliner. Right? Where I came home from my walk today and I'm sweaty. So I put a blanket down on the chair because I don't want to sweat in the chair. So I put a blanket down, and then the moment that you get to lift your feet up and take the weight off, it's just like, hallelujah. But you probably like to nap on the couch.
I like to do everything on the couch.
Sprawl
the couch is a multi-form unit in my home. I work there. I can sit and work on my laptop on the couch. I have a lap desk and I love being there. I lay there. I do like anything.
But if you're gonna take a good nap, like if you made
my bed,
then you go to your bed.
Absolutely. But if I'm just gonna if I'm at home and I know we're about to do something that I don't want to do, then I'll fall asleep on the couch. I just dozed off, right? Oh, whoops, how'd that happen? And then Stevie would be like, well, I didn't want to wake you. And I'll be like, oh, guess we can't do that thing today. Bummer. It's already, whatever. I do that. And I'm a good person, all around, but I have my faults. And that's one of them, doing things I don't want to do.
But if I choose to take a nap and I'm already in the family room, I will choose the couch or the recliner. I will not go to the bed because I don't want to be seen as if I chose to go back into the bed because I've already spent a significant amount of time there. So, and the only person that would ever see me prior till now would have been just me because your dad wasn't at home. But now that he's at home, I want to make sure that I'm only napping in the family room, and it just happened.
Right. Yeah. See, the visual is important.
Learned behavior, gosh, my eyes just closed. Whoops. It's not like I went.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying about my couch nap.
But if your dad's going to take a 15-minute edge off, which he loves to do, I can't do a 15-minute. It's not enough time. But he'll go in the bed.
Yeah.
And he'll say, I'm just going to take the edge off. And I know that just means he literally is going to lay down and can wake himself up in 15 minutes. 2 hours later,
asleep,
I am,
yeah,
still sleeping. And I have a hard time waking up from a nap. I often sleep really hard. So.
Yeah, no, I'm a great napper. I love it. It's very important to me. I nap almost every day if I can. For me, it's also my quiet time, my introvert time, going in the bedroom, shutting the door, turning off all the lights, laying down, and just I often don't sleep. It's just my 30 minutes of quiet time, and that helps me a lot, get through the rest of my day. So if I'm working, I get home, and then before I'm going out to do whatever I'm gonna do in the afternoon, just taking some time for myself, and just resting my eyes, kind of like Dad. It's not even important that I sleep. I just need to recenter myself.
Okay, online shopping or shopping in a store?
Shopping in a store.
Yeah.
It's really hard as a plus size woman to shop online, because my size ranges from, anywhere from a large in some brands to a 3X in some brands, and I'm a 10 in some places and a 16 in other places. And certain stores, I know what my size is and I can go online and shop. But it's also important to see how something fits. And I do know certain silhouettes that work for me that I can order online. I can order, the same thing in a different color. But generally, I don't like to try stuff on because the dressing room is it's a war zone for me. It's clothes everywhere. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I'm cracking jokes. Mirrors. It's just.
That's what we did on Saturday.
Yeah.
So because you're in the place in your life where you don't have a lot of money, we wanted to shop the clearance racks.
Absolutely.
Like we were at Bon Mar, so we're nice high-end clearance racks, but then we are also at Kohl's, in the Kohl's clearance racks, which are hard to navigate, right? Like lots of stuff.
If you thrift, it's a lot like thrifting. Like I have found things in there that I found this summer, like a $250, like why is Kohl's selling this? Like navy work dress, and it was marked down to like $36. So you can find treasures in the Kohl's clearance, but you're gonna kiss a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then we also went into Old Navy, and we were looking at one of the clearance racks, and you made the crack about the Zamboni. And
yeah, that was funny. So we were looking at the clearance rack, and if you've ever been to Old Navy, it's like they got a rack up and they just took a Zamboni and they went around the entire store and then they just put everything on that rack. Right. And it's like, this is the Zamboni rack.
Everything that had been discarded.
And the store is organized by like certain sections. But for whatever reason, this rack in the middle of athletic wear, it had bras, it had like underwear, it had swimsuits, there were long dresses and pants, and I'm like someone just walked around in Zamboni and just put it all here. And like, I love a sales worker. I'm not saying that that's negative. Like, you go queen, whatever needs to get you through your day. But I love a Zamboni rack because I think that's where you can find a lot of treasures. Where people
people put stuff back in the wrong places and no one,
right,
and it's not available anymore, and so they just hang everything on one rack. I can't stand that. By that point, I was sitting somewhere.
Yeah,
like I can't. Okay, would you rather receive an email or a letter?
I'd rather you not talk to me. No, just kidding. No,
True though, you would rather not have.
No, I think letters and emails are fine though. It's nice to hear from people. I think
But you don't like to read your emails. You will leave. I would never leave an email at the end of every day with stuff to be decisions.
Well, sometimes you gotta let it sit, because you're not getting the same emails as me.
No, right. I'm not.
Like, I'm getting emails from people that, especially in law school, like I was maybe a little bit overcommitted, maybe a little bit overinvolved, but also known for being the girl who was on top of stuff. So people email me all the time, like, and half the time they were not looking for me, they were looking for someone else, and it's just like I have to forward it to the right person, or they're trying to get information from me that's like listed somewhere else, and I'm just like sick and tired of having to deal with them and like make up for their lack of detail orientation by like pointing them in the correct direction for things. And then sometimes you just get emails from people where you're like, what? Like, I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, why, how, and where did you took a wrong turn somewhere and I ended up in this email, right? And those emails I've stopped responding to because I just decided to rid myself of things that don't bring me joy. And those are all the emails from men that I've ever received in my life. No, but I'm like serious. Like, I got a lot, like when I was in law school, I got a lot of rude emails from guys in my class that were like, I would be the president of the association and they had something to say about it. And I was like, obviously this is the forum and this is the time for you to take me on, like, please. Right. And because I also go to this school, you can criticize the fact that I was the president of the Women's Law Association. We had a meeting, we had pizza, served the pizza. And then I took the pizza and put it in the cafeteria and other kids were eating the pizza. I got an email about that the next day from some kid. And he was like, I thought that you put the pizza and you're not allowed to do that. And you can't leave the pizza because we don't know where that pizza came from. And I was like, right, the top of the boxes is Pizza Luce that our school always orders from. You're right, I poisoned it. It's all poisoned pizza. Like, why get a hobby? Pick up needlework, pick up some stitching, like, let's stitch out our feelings here because, and it's in the past. Like, the pizza's gone. Everyone loved the pizza.
Yeah.
Everyone loved the pizza. Those emails I just leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing for me there.
So you didn't respond in anger. A couple of knitting related. We'll wrap it up here. Coolest thing you ever saw your mother knit? Like, or that you remember? Like, you haven't been present in my life for, like, in our house for 7 years. No, I mean, you've lived out of the house. So you haven't seen things as much.
I follow you on social media, Mom.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
You're on my Facebook. I'm one of the family members.
Yeah. I don't know. It was huge for me when you publish your books. Like, that's so...
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's just such a big deal. I don't think people realize, like, the amount of time and energy and effort that she puts into that. And that's such a, like, physical manifestation of all her work.
Yeah,
And so that's like,
cool.
those are like really cool moments. And like, I have those books on my bookshelf and I look at them and I'm like, my mom's a published author. Like, that's really cool. And you guys will be no stranger to like the kind of the social narrative surrounding knitting that people don't understand, like what you actually do, what it's like. I'm gonna sneeze. People don't understand the amount of work that goes into it. And so it's always really cool to see that. I don't know, I've talked about before the wedding cake. You knit a wedding cake a while ago. That was crazy. She knit, there's a beautiful white Afghan, kind of cream colored Afghan with a bunch of Afghan squares that I remember her knitting when I was little.
Okay, weirdest or ugliest or strangest thing you think? Did I have anything that you were just like, oh, mama, no?
Oh, yeah, okay. You have a white shawl that has brown beads on it, and it's got like little feathers. And
that's on the podcast this week. It's the shawl I showed on the podcast this week.
It is very Birds with Leather flocked together. It is very One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It is not good. And I'm sure the yarn's from Stephen B. Sorry, Stephen. But it is... I'm going to edit this out because it's not going to play well. Because you just...
Yeah, I literally had it on the mannequin yesterday. What are the chances?
I mean, the chances are good. The chances are good because it's just not for me, but I don't think it should be for anyone. No, it's really bad, guys. Like, the camera might make it look beautiful. That's your eyes deceiving you. It is not good. It's giving.
Okay. Oh my gosh. That's
look at all
hilarious.
Look at all the stuff I
Simple
can.
Thing Shawl is the name of this week's podcast.
Oh, right. I have no problem with the pattern. That's not what I'm saying. It's the yarn.
It was the yarn.
It's the yarn. And you could go through and you could cut off all of those wispy feathers and it would be a lot less weird. And I'm all for weird. Like, fine, but no. And the brown buttons, the brown wooden buttons, it's very... I don't love it.
Too funny.
I don't love it.
Okay, too funny. Now, for sure, I'm addending this into the podcast this time.
You were going to cut me?
I was going to put it at the end or put it up as a separate because it's 46 minutes already, right? And that I'm already at 70 some minutes in the other one. So, yeah. So that was...
Yeah, another good one, the beaded scarf. So you were like it's like the kind of thin plasticky nylon fabric that you just wear the little beaded scarf with the tassels hanging down. That was never my favorite.
Do you have a desire to ever knit someday? Like be a knitter?
No.
Yeah. Be a sewer?
Yes, because I, like, in my closet have a bunch of things right now that I'm like, oh man, if I could just like do this. Like this dress I'm wearing, like the straps are just a little long and I could just like fix it up, right? So I'm definitely like happy for all of the crafty skills that I have that my mom taught me, and I'll definitely like continue to use those for the rest of my life, but I'd love to have...
Yeah, because you still have Deb's sewing machine.
Right.
And so you could...
Yeah. And I will definitely, when I move to a bigger place, have a sewing machine and probably have a sewing room and just kind of like have that stuff where I keep my wrapping paper so that I can just sew stuff up. And my boyfriend Stevie is like an adventure outdoorsy person and he rips stuff all the time. So that'll be good to like, but no, I don't have the same sort of creative energy that my mom has in terms of knitting, but I do have that creative energy in terms of speech. I coach speech and I love working with students, writing speeches, creating jokes, writing content. You know, that's kind of my creative outlet that I found.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I definitely still have that creative drive. And I often think to myself about like, you know, like what, like comedy show, theater, like I'm very involved in the arts in that way. And I think about that stuff a lot. So,
and then, memories of childhood around a knitter, like going to a yarn store, being with me in when I would go to knitting group,
like
or
probably
take you
one
to
of the
Stephen B's on a Sunday afternoon.
It was probably not my first yarn store, but like I stole a pattern from a yarn store.
I know.
It was like an American Girl doll dress pattern, and I asked you if I could have it, and you said no, and I stole it. And then you found it, and you were like, Kylie Lynn, and then I went back to the store and had to give it back and apologize. And I remember that being like the most mortifying thing ever. But they were super nice, of course, because I was a child, and it was a $3 American Girl doll pattern, so like it was okay. I didn't go and grab all the Malabrigo off the rack and just make a break for it. Like it would have been fine. But I do remember that.
You would have been for sure younger than 8, for sure, because we lived in Richmond and we moved back here when you were 8 years old. So, But I'm thinking you were probably 5.
Yeah, I was really little. Old enough to know that you should not steal from the store, let's be fair.
Yeah.
But young enough to make it not a felony. I will say the other thing is, like, I had a lot of stuffed animals when I was little, and a lot of them were from yarn stores. I had a lot of goats, sheeps, llamas, alpacas, bunnies, right? And friends would come over here and they'd be like, and I remember when I got a little older, I had a friend, Jackie, who was like, why do you have so many, like, sheep? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, my mom got these for me at the toy store. And she was like, I don't have this many sheep. And then later I was like, Mom, like, everyone else has, like, tigers and zebras. And all I have is sheep. And she was like, well, yeah, I mean, when you go to the yarn store, I buy you, you know, like, when I would go and I would sit there for 4.5 hours, she would be like, you can pick out a stuffed animal by the register, right? And, like, so a bunch of the stuffed animals I have are
wool or
themed.
fiber themed
Yes,
animals.
which I guess is kind of funny. So that would be from the life of a knitter's daughter.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming over.
Yes.
And talking. Just
You're welcome.
chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Fun for me because she makes me laugh. I laughed so hard Saturday afternoon. Everywhere we went, we were trading, swapping, trying to be funny, not trying to be funny, and then laughing even harder.
Yeah.
So we had I'm thankful that I have a good relationship with you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You're one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to insert this in this week's podcast, and you are going to be in for that treat of a lifetime.
Right. I'll see you in another year.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
This week at Stephen B in 2 weeks. You can find that schedule and register for those classes online. Then I'm going to be in South Dakota in September on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, teaching a ton of classes. So if you want to take a little road trip, come see me in Watertown, South Dakota. And then in November, I will be in Ohio. And in October, newly added, I am teaching on October 1st, a Saturday, in person at B Woolen, my 50 Shades of Sweaters in person, and after that, my Fixer Upper class. So my 2 most popular classes, if you are local or want to come into the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, October 1st. I am teaching, and you can call the shop and sign up for those. I don't know if it's full yet. They did post it a week ago Tuesday. So the class could be full. I doubt it. Not this early, not this far out. But anyway. All right. I have a busy week. This week I teach. What do I have? I have a haircut, which I desperately need. My hair is way long, and I can't stand it when I have to hair dry it for longer than 5 minutes. Such a wimp. Thursday night I have a big hoity-toity husband's board is in, and I have to go to a party. Wednesday night I teach, and so there's, and we're gonna recover some stools, and the garage doors could come any day, and MediaCom is coming because the TV in the office that we unplugged for 6 weeks is not working. It's not being plugged back. It's not coming back. So that guy has to come out. So, just stuff going on. But I'm around, which is nice. I'm going to try to write a couple of shawl patterns for this fall. It's been on my agenda the whole month of July, and I never got to it. I'm just kind of enjoying knitting for myself. And it feels a little indulgent. I was going to take June off. And I did the test knit for my one thing, but I probably need to do a little bit more work toward getting some of that done. But I keep telling myself, if I just finish these 2 sweaters, it will really help, because then I have some other things that are close to being done. Do you guys do that? Do you like that project? If I could finish that project, then that project I could just whip out. And it's never just a whip out. Like, you never can just quite get it done in the half an hour that you think it's going to take. It's really going to literally take 7 days. All right. I love you all. Let's do the closing. You want to try to do it with me? I'll say one, you say one. Something like that, okay? No green bananas. Waddle on. You'll never regret ripping back. Buy the gravy. Keep it colorful. Keep your fork. Grace costs you nothing. Give someone a little grace this week. someone who cuts in front of you, someone who makes you mad, your spouse, your kids. Give a little grace, because then maybe you could give a... Okay, the last one I forgot. Don't complain with your mouth full. Love you all. Come in for your hug. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.